If I could ask everybody to take a seat and maybe quiet down a little bit. We're about ready to begin. I'd like to remind everyone, as usual, that we audio and video record our meetings. So for the board, I will ask that when you have something to say on the record, please push your button so that the recording system picks it up. And when you are done, hit it again, as we have a limited number of active microphones at any given time. So with that, I will turn it over to our Audit Committee Chairman, Durante.
Will the secretary please call the roll?
Director Anderson,
Here.
Director Colson,
Here.
Director Lewis, Director DeWitt,
Here.
Director Melvin, Director Pang,
Here.
Director Ross, Director Durante.
Here.
We have a quorum of 7 present with 1 absent. If the record would also show that Directors Buchanan, Fraga, Fuentes, Hobson, McGallis, Totten, Troiani are also present.
Item 2 on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the meeting held on March 17. Is there a motion to accept? By Director Pang, seconded by Director Ross. Roll call.
Director Anderson,
Yes.
Director Colson,
Yes.
Director DeWitt,
Yes.
Director Lewis,
Yes.
Director Pang,
Yes.
Director Ross, Chairman Durante.
Yes.
7 ayes and 1 absent. If the record would also show that Chairman Dillard has also joined the meeting.
Items 3A and 3B are ordinance approving the combining financial report and certifying compliance with the RTA Act, recovering ratio requirement for 2015, and an ordinance approving and releasing the RTA 2015 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. B.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman and board members. We have with us here our auditors. Our external auditors do not audit these financial statements, but they do review the compilation. Each service board's auditors issued an unqualified opinion of the service board's 2015 financial statements. The ordinance certifies that based on final audited results, the RTA system achieved 51.86% recovery ratio for region-wide mainline service and 10.70% for regional ADA paratransit service. In addition, given the importance of this meeting, this RTA Act requirement, we have requested the top financial officials of CTA Metro and PACE to certify the figures that they provided us to calculate the region-wide recovery ratio. I am pleased to report that we have received the certification from all 3 service boards, and based on this information, the ordinance finds the system recovery ratio in compliance with the RTA Act. Now I'm going to turn it over to our external auditor. Joe Evans is a senior partner with RSM and the lead partner on the RTA audit. RSM is the 5th largest CPA firm in the nation and has a specialty serving governments like the RTA. Joe Evans has 30 years of experience performing audits of governmental entities and has significant experience with all aspects of governmental operations. Joe?
B, thank you. With me today is Hilda Renteria. Hilda is a partner with the firm of Prado and Renteria. They are our minority partner and perform a significant part of the audit. And when we get to the federal audit piece, I'll ask Hilda to cover that part of the audit. So what I would like to do is just walk you through our presentation. As B mentioned, we are now RSM US. We formerly were McGladrey. We changed our name this last year to be more consistent with our national or with our international firm. So now throughout the entire globe, we're known as the same organization. But there were no changes. It's the same team, the same people, same FEIN number. So all we did really was change our name. I mentioned Hilda Renteria. Prado and Renteria has been our DBE firm, has worked with us for several years, and we have an excellent working relationship with them. We've met the required DBE requirements of the audit. The scope of services include the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, the CAFR, which is the main financial statement of the RTA, the combining financial statements, which is the statutory basis report. We do a separate audit of the joint self-insurance fund, a separate audit of the pension plan. And this year, there was a new report that was required called the Pension Allocation Report. And this is the report that allocates the net pension liability to the participating entities, RTA, Metro, and PACE. This was a new report required under governmental auditing standards this year. The single audit is also part of the scope of the engagement, and also a discussion of any findings. Oop, wrong way. I'd now like to cover the required communications. The good news, all the audits received clean opinions. It's referred to as an unmodified opinion, used to be called unqualified in the old days, but that covers the CAFR, the Joint Self-Insurance Fund, and the RTA pension plan. We also have an obligation to report to you significant estimates in the financial statements, and this year the most significant estimate is the valuation of the swaps, which resulted in a gain of $2.2 million this year. And this analysis is performed by an outside consulting firm with a great deal of expertise in that area. Other required communications include no disagreements with management, no consultations with other accountants, no major issues discussed prior to our retention, no alternative accounting treatments, and no audit adjustments. So a very smooth, very clean audit this year. Other information included in the comprehensive annual financial report includes management's discussion and analysis, which is a discussion of the various changes in the accounts during the year, and also required supplementary information on budget and actual information and pension information, which is required by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. Management also provides us with a written representation letter where they certify that they have complied with all the material requirements of the audit and responded to all of our inquiries and provided us all of the information we needed for the audit. We had good cooperation throughout the entire organization and good participation from everyone. So again, very smooth audit process. Just a couple of highlights in the financial statements. With respect to the comprehensive annual financial report of the RTA, we've been awarded the GFOA certificate for the 21st straight year. The GFOA certificate is a very prestigious award, meaning you've met all of their reporting and disclosure criteria. On the budgetary basis, some budgetary highlights. Total revenues in the general fund exceeded budgeted amounts by $7.5 million this year, driven primarily by the increase in sales tax. And total expenditures in the general fund were slightly higher than budgeted amounts by $4.3 million. As far as the combining statements go, we issue a compilation report on the financial statements. This is the report submitted to the state that's required by the RTA statute. As B mentioned, each service board does receive their own independent audit, and each service board certified their recovery ratio in their own individual audits. The region-wide recovery ratio is required to be 50%. As B mentioned, we met it at 51.86% this year. And the region-wide ADA paratransit recovery ratio was also met. That actual amount is 10.70%. With respect to the Joint Self-Insurance Fund, again, that is audited separately. Separate financial statements issued and an unmodified opinion issued. The net position or the net equity of that fund is $28 million. And during the year, RTA transferred $6.2 million from the general fund to pay for insurance premiums. The pension plan includes the non-union employees of RTA, PACE, and Metro. The plan is 88% funded compared to 74% as of the beginning of the year. So the combined contributions of the three service boards totaling $77 million were made during the year, and there was an investment market value loss of $9.1 million during the year. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Hilda to make a few comments about the single audit, the federal programs audit.
Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity to be part of the audit team and also for the opportunity to present today. As Joe mentioned, we participated in the single audit. We performed all the procedures related to the single audit, and the highlights today are the RTA had total federal expenditures of $2 million for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2015. We tested one major program, the Federal Transit Formula Grants. That program had $769,000 in expenditures. No compliant issues were noted. Therefore, the auditor's report on compliance will be a clean opinion. And there were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies noted in internal control as well.
Very good, thank you. This page, we list out our audit findings, and I'm very pleased to report that there were no audit findings this year. There were no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, so a very, very good year. All the issues from the prior year have been properly addressed by management, and we felt very comfortable with the results of the audit and the procedures performed. I just wanted to touch a little bit on the new accounting standard that was implemented this year, GASB Statement Number 68 relating to pensions. As I mentioned earlier, we issued a separate report this year recording the net pension liability of the pension fund. And this report was issued to RTA, Metra, and PACE so that they could pick up their share of the pension liability. So with respect to RTA, the restatement reduced our opening net position by $5.8 million. And then as of December 31st, 2015, our proportionate share of that net pension liability was $8.4 million. The RTA made contributions of $3.4 million during the year, and those contributions will help decrease the net pension liability in future years, in 2016 and future years. So this was a very complex accounting standard that was implemented during the year. It's meant to address some of the reporting requirements relating to pensions. Throughout the country, pensions have been discussed in many different forums, and the accounting profession felt that it was important to get these pension liabilities reported on the face of the financial statements so that people have a better handle on what's out there. And just the heads up for next year, there's some new statements that will impact us next year. GASB 72 will require some additional disclosures in the financial statements of market value of investments, and the RTA is in the process of determining what impact that will have. And then another new standard that was implemented this year is the Federal Uniform Grant Guidance, but it didn't impact us. It won't impact us until next year because of the timing of the grant funds that we received. So both of these statements will have an impact on us going forward. So to wrap up, very good year, no audit adjustments. The audit reports all received unmodified opinions, no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies, and the job was completed on time and on budget. So very good report card from the audit perspective. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions? Director Colson?
The cover sheet I have says that This approves the 2015 combining financial report for the RTA and the service boards, including allocation of an extraordinary revenue item. What was that extraordinary revenue item? I didn't find it in the body of the report. Is that what it was?
That would have been the 2014 PACE extraordinary item. That was the funding that unfortunately got included in this report, just in the narrative, and we have, in your new updated reports and the memos, we do not include that. Correct. It was the extraordinary revenue item.
If that was put on the table.
Correct, correct. And we have-
It was erroneously in the memo that went out to the board.
The
It
draft.
has since been modified, and there's a clean one on your places today.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept passage of the ordinance by Director Lewis, seconded by Director DeWitt? Have leave
Director
for last.
Durante? Oh.
Yes.
I just wanted to thank Joe, Sean, and Hilda. This is their last year of a 5-year contract. We will be going out for an RFP for auditing services. But I also want to thank John, you and Elaine Alvarez and their team for a very successful audit. As I understand it, it's the first time in about 19 years that they've had an audit with no findings and no significant deficiencies. So I just wanted to interject that. Thank you.
Well, point well taken. I've had the joy of working with Joe over the past several years, and he's done a magnificent job. And welcome aboard, Hilga. You've done a good job as well. So, thank you, Joe, for your service.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those.
Director
Is there
Durante,
leave for last?
are you taking both of these in one vote?
Yes. We're
Okay.
taking 3A
Just
and
to
3B.
make sure that's clear to everyone.
Okay. Is there leave for last unanimous?
We'll
roll
need a
call?
roll call since Director Melvin has joined the group.
Want a roll call?
Yes, we'll need one.
Roll call. I just do whatever.
We have Director Anderson,
Yes.
Director Colson,
Yes.
Director DeWitt.
Yes.
Director Lewis.
Yes.
Director Melvin.
Yes.
Director Pang.
Yes.
Director Ross. Director Durante.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Okay, if there's no further business come before the public session of the Audit Committee, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn by Director Melvin, seconded by Director DeWitt. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Adjourned.